Hello, I'm Chris Barrow with the BBC News. Brazil has declared 3 days of mourning for Pelé, for many the world's greatest ever footballer, who's died in Sao Paulo at the age of 82. Pelé's wake will be held on Monday at the Santos Football Club, for many years his home stadium. Tributes to the footballer have been pouring in from around the world, including from the president of World Football's governing body FIFA, Gianni Infantino.
Well, for all those who love football, this is certainly the day that we never wanted to come. We lost Pelé, the king, and we feel a void, we feel sad. But actually, we never lose him. He's forever with us. He's forever with everyone who loves football because of what he did for football.
Pelé is often described as the greatest ambassador Brazil ever had, taking his skills and sporting grace to audiences around the world. Here's our sports editor, Dan Rowan.
And it's Pelé, he's got it! Pelé has scored! And that is Brazil's 100th goal in the World Cup.
Just one of the goals that helped make Pelé the most famous and, for many, the best footballer of all time. The Brazilian scoring at the 1970 World Cup, the standout star in the sport's most iconic team. Pelé won football's ultimate prize 3 times, the first in Sweden in 1958, when, aged just 17, he lit up the tournament with his dazzling skills and goals, becoming a national treasure. The sport's first millionaire, he remained busy in retirement from his endorsement of countless products to philanthropy and politics.
The UN humanitarian coordinator for Afghanistan has warned that the Taliban's ban on women aid workers is already hitting urgent relief programmes. Ramiz Alakbarov said it was the worst situation he'd seen. Our chief international correspondent Lise Doucette reports.
The UN says Afghanistan's humanitarian needs are enormous. Mr. Alakbarov said it was probably the worst he'd seen in his 30-year career. Echoing the many statements issued by other aid agencies and many governments, he underlined it was not possible to provide aid without the participation of Afghan women. Some aid agencies have already suspended their programmes. Mr. Alakbarov said that would be the UN's last resort. He said his interaction with Taliban leaders had shown him that dialogue was the best response.
President Biden has signed into law a vast spending bill to provide $1.7 trillion worth of government funding through the upcoming fiscal year. The money will be used for an array of domestic spending, including veterans' healthcare and affordable housing. It also includes emergency military and economic aid for Ukraine in its war against Russian forces. This is the latest world news from the BBC. Belarus has summoned the Ukrainian ambassador, saying it had shot down a Ukrainian air defense missile in Belarusian territory. Footage from Belarusian state television appeared to show missile debris in a field. Minsk has demanded Kiev carry out a full investigation after the S-300 rocket came down during a major Russian air attack on Ukraine. The first licensed cannabis shop has opened in New York City, a year after the drug was legalized in the US state. The dispensary for recreational cannabis has opened in Manhattan's East Village, managed by a charity that fights homelessness and AIDS. A long queue of customers gathered for the long-anticipated opening. It's expected to be the first of many such shops opening in the coming months. Opposition groups in the Bolivian region of Santa Cruz have called for a general strike on Friday following the arrest of the local right-wing governor, Luis Fernando Camacho. An organising committee has proposed highway blockades and other disruption. Mr. Camacho was picked up on Wednesday by police and taken to the capital La Paz, where he's being detained on terrorism charges. The British fashion designer Dame Vivienne Westwood has died in London at the age of 81. Lipika Pelham looks back at her career.
Vivienne Westwood made a name for herself on the fashion scene in the 1970s with her androgynous design, modern, edgy tailoring, T-shirts with inflammatory slogans with safety pins and glitter glue. With her best-known collaborator Malcolm McLaren, she opened their first London boutique in Chelsea in 1971. It operated under several names: Let It Rock, Too Fast to Live, Too Young to Die, Sex and Seditionaries, before being reinvented in 1979 as World's End, a title the store still holds today. Vivienne Westwood once said her shop was a crucible that brought modern punk into the mainstream.
And that's the latest BBC News.